Beloved, as you rise to meet this new day, I am already before you. I see the path you will walk, the choices you will face, and the quiet battles within your heart. Today I call you to stand before me without fear, without disguise, without compromise. I am the God who searches hearts and tests minds, and yet I draw near not to condemn you, but to lead you into integrity. Walk with me in truth. Let your steps be steady, your motives pure, your trust unwavering. When the world tempts you to blend in with darkness, remember that you are called to walk in my light. I am your defender when you choose righteousness. I am your strength when integrity feels costly. Come, begin this day with Psalm 26 upon your lips and courage within your soul, and walk before me in honesty, faithfulness, and holy confidence. Integrity begins in the quiet places of your heart, long before it is seen in your actions. I see what others cannot see. I know the thoughts that rise before a word is spoken, the intentions that shape your decisions, the silent negotiations you make within yourself. When you say you walk in integrity, it is not merely about outward behavior, it is about alignment with me. It is about allowing my truth to shape your desires, my spirit to correct your motives, and my presence to become your constant companion. You live in a world that celebrates convenience over conviction, popularity over purity, and shortcuts over steadfastness. Many will tell you that compromise is wisdom, and that blending in is survival. Yet I call you to something higher. I call you to walk uprightly even when no one applauds you, even when obedience costs you comfort, even when standing firm makes you stand alone. Integrity is not perfection, it is surrender. It is the daily choice to bring your weaknesses before me instead of hiding them. It is the courage to say, "Search me, O Lord," knowing that I refine, not reject, the heart that seeks me. When you choose integrity, you choose trust. You declare that my ways are better than the world's ways. You acknowledge that my justice is more secure than human systems, that my approval is greater than public praise. There will be moments when you are misunderstood. There will be times when others question your motives or misinterpret your silence. Do not let that shake you. I am your vindicator. I see the full story. I understand the intentions behind your restraint, your honesty, your refusal to participate in gossip, deceit, or manipulation. When you refuse to repay evil for evil, when you turn away from dishonest gain, when you speak truth gently but firmly, you reflect my character. You bear my image in a darkened world. Integrity may not always bring immediate reward, but it builds a foundation that cannot be easily destroyed. Storms may come, accusations may rise, pressures may intensify, but the one who walks with me stands on solid ground. Guard your heart carefully, for integrity is both a shield and a treasure. The voices around you are loud. They will suggest that small compromises are harmless, that minor lies smooth difficult situations, that aligning with the wrong crowd makes life easier. Yet every small choice shapes your spiritual direction. When you sit in the council of those who mock righteousness, your sensitivity to my spirit begins to dull. When you linger in environments that celebrate sin, your convictions slowly weaken. I do not call you to isolation, but I do call you to discernment. Be present in the world without absorbing its corruption. Shine without surrendering your standards. Love without approving what I have declared harmful. Ask me for wisdom daily. Invite me into your conversations, your work, your relationships. Let my word be the measure by which you evaluate what is acceptable. When something troubles your spirit, pause and seek me. I am faithful to guide you. Examine yourself regularly in my presence, not with fear, but with openness. Invite my refining fire to purify hidden motives. Are you acting from pride or from humility? Are you serving to be seen or to honor me? Are you speaking truth in love, or are you disguising harshness as honesty? Integrity grows when you are willing to confront these questions. It deepens when you confess quickly and turn away from attitudes that distort your character. I do not expect you to be flawless, but I desire you to be honest. The moment you stumble, return to me. Do not allow shame to push you into hiding. My mercy is greater than your mistakes. My grace restores what sin attempts to fracture. Each time you repent, your heart becomes softer, more aligned with my will. Remember that integrity also shapes how you treat others. It governs your business dealings, your commitments, your promises. When you give your word, honor it. When you make a mistake, admit it. When you owe someone an apology, offer it sincerely. These actions may seem small, but they reveal the condition of your soul. A life of integrity is consistent. It does not shift based on who is watching. It does not present one face in public and another in private. I see both settings, and I desire wholeness within you. Let your private prayers match your public declarations. Let your worship on sacred days align with your conduct in ordinary moments. True devotion is not confined to songs and gatherings. It is displayed in daily obedience. You may fear that walking in integrity will limit your opportunities. You may wonder if honesty will cost you advancement, relationships, or recognition. Trust me with the outcome. I am not unaware of your sacrifices. I see when you decline unethical gain. I see when you refuse to manipulate to get ahead. I see when you endure loss rather than betray your convictions. I am your provider. What you surrender for my sake is never wasted. Sometimes I bless openly. Sometimes I strengthen you quietly. In both cases, I am shaping a character that can carry greater responsibility. Integrity prepares you for influence that does not corrupt. It forms resilience that success cannot erode. Let Psalm 26 become your daily declaration that you walk in your integrity, that you trust in me without wavering. Speak it not as a boast, but as a commitment. Declare your dependence on me to sustain what you promise. Integrity is not sustained by willpower alone. It is sustained by relationship. Stay close to me. Spend time in my presence before the noise of the day crowds your mind. Allow my spirit to remind you who you are. You are not defined by shifting trends or fleeting opinions. You are my child, called to reflect my truth. As you move through this day, there will be subtle tests. A conversation that invites you to exaggerate. An opportunity that requires you to overlook dishonesty. A situation where silence feels safer than truth. In those moments, remember that I am near. Whisper a prayer. Ask for courage. Integrity often requires quiet bravery rather than dramatic gestures. It is the steady refusal to compromise when compromise would be easy. It is the gentle insistence on truth when deception would simplify matters. Each decision builds spiritual strength. Each act of obedience reinforces your identity in me. Do not envy those who appear to prosper through corruption. Their path is unstable. What is built on deceit eventually collapses. What is gained without righteousness brings hidden burdens. Your peace is precious. Guard it by walking uprightly. When your conscience is clear before me, you carry a freedom that no wealth can purchase. You rest without fear of exposure. You speak without rehearsing lies. You live without constantly defending a false image. This is the gift of integrity, a soul at peace in my presence. Come before me daily and ask me to examine you. Invite my light into the corners you avoid. Allow me to cleanse what you cannot cleanse alone. I am faithful to complete the work I begin in you. Integrity is a journey, not a single decision. Walk it step by step with me. Let your life become a testimony that righteousness is possible, that truth is powerful, that trust in me is never misplaced. As you start this day with Psalm 26, choose to walk in integrity before me, trusting that I uphold those who uphold my ways. When you choose to trust my justice over human approval, you step into a deeper freedom than the world can offer. Many of your anxieties are rooted in the desire to be understood, accepted, applauded, and affirmed by others. You measure your worth by reactions, by comments, by the shifting opinions of people whose perspectives change with circumstances. Yet I am the unchanging judge. My vision is not clouded by rumor, emotion, or partial knowledge. I see the full truth, what was said and what was meant, what was done and what was intended, what was hidden and what was endured in silence. When you entrust yourself to me, you release the exhausting burden of managing your reputation. Human approval is fragile. It rises quickly and disappears just as fast. Those who praise you today may question you tomorrow. Those who celebrate your integrity may later doubt your motives. If you build your peace on their validation, your stability will constantly shake. But when your confidence rests in my justice, you become steady. You no longer chase applause, nor are you crushed by criticism. You learn to ask a different question. Not, what do they think of me? But, am I pleasing the Lord? That question reorients your heart. It shifts your focus from performance to obedience, from impression to sincerity. I know how deeply you desire to be seen accurately. It wounds you when your actions are misunderstood. It frustrates you when your character is misrepresented. It tempts you to defend yourself with urgency, to argue your case with intensity, to expose the faults of others in order to protect your own name. There are moments when clarification is necessary, when truth must be spoken. But there are also moments when silence is stronger, when restraint reveals greater trust, when you place your case in my hands and wait. Trusting my justice does not mean passivity, it means discernment. It means asking me when to speak and when to be still. I weigh hearts with perfect accuracy. I am not swayed by status, wealth, or influence. The powerful do not intimidate me, and the obscure are not overlooked by me. When you face unfair treatment, when you are bypassed despite your diligence, when someone else receives credit for your labor, I am not blind. I see your effort. I see your faithfulness in unseen places. I see the nights you persevered when no one applauded. I record what others ignore. My reward is not always immediate, but it is always just. My timing may test your patience, but it refines your trust. There will be seasons when choosing integrity costs you popularity. You may decline invitations that compromise your convictions. You may refuse to participate in conversations that degrade others. You may stand apart from practices that are widely accepted but quietly harmful. In those moments, some will label you rigid, self-righteous, or uncooperative. If you seek their approval more than my pleasure, you will feel pressured to bend. But if your heart is anchored in my justice, you will stand without hostility and without fear. You will understand that being right with me is greater than being liked by many. Trusting my justice also transforms how you respond to those who wrong you. When someone speaks falsely about you, your instinct may be retaliation. When someone undermines you, your impulse may be exposure. Yet I call you to a higher path. Vengeance is not your assignment, it is mine. When you surrender the need to repay harm with harm, you demonstrate confidence that I will address what you cannot. This does not mean you ignore injustice or enable abuse. It means you refuse to let bitterness rule your spirit. It means you bring your pain to me instead of weaponizing it against others. Examine your heart closely. How much of your decision making is shaped by the fear of disapproval? How often do you soften truth to avoid discomfort? How frequently do you exaggerate achievements to gain admiration? These tendencies are subtle, but they reveal where your trust lies. When you trust human approval more than my justice, you become divided within yourself. You say what is convenient rather than what is honest. You adjust your values depending on your audience. This fragmentation weakens your peace. But when you center your identity in me, your life becomes consistent. You speak with integrity regardless of who listens. You act with sincerity whether praised or ignored. Remember that I defended the righteous throughout generations. Those who walked faithfully before me were not always celebrated in their lifetimes. Some were criticized, opposed, and even persecuted. Yet I upheld them. I strengthened them. I vindicated them in ways that surpassed human judgment. The approval of crowds fades, but my affirmation endures. When I declare you faithful, that declaration carries eternal weight. When I call you upright, no earthly verdict can overturn my assessment. Trusting my justice requires patience. You often want immediate resolution. You desire swift correction of false narratives. You hope for visible vindication. But my work is deeper than public opinion. I shape hearts over time. I expose truth when the moment is right. I allow certain misunderstandings to remain for a season because they cultivate humility within you. They loosen your dependence on external validation. They teach you to find security in my gaze alone. When you realize that my approval is sufficient, you are liberated from the endless cycle of proving yourself. Do not mistake silence for absence. When I appear quiet, I am still active. I am arranging circumstances, softening hearts, and revealing motives. Justice in my kingdom is not hurried, but it is certain. What is hidden will be brought to light. What is distorted will be clarified. What is unjust will be addressed. Your responsibility is not to control outcomes, but to remain faithful. Continue doing what is right even when recognition is delayed. Continue speaking truth gently even when it is resisted. Continue honoring me in private even when public applause is missing. Consider how my justice also applies to your own self-evaluation. Sometimes you condemn yourself more harshly than I do. You replay failures and measure yourself by past mistakes. You assume that others' disappointment defines you. Yet my justice includes mercy. When you confess and turn from wrongdoing, I do not hold your past over you. I restore you. I cleanse you. Trusting my justice means believing that my forgiveness is real and complete. It means refusing to live under self-imposed condemnation when I have declared you redeemed. At the same time, trusting my justice invites accountability. You cannot claim reliance on me while ignoring correction. When I reveal an area where you have erred, respond with humility. Do not defend what I am refining. My justice is not only about defending you against false accusations. It is also about shaping you into greater righteousness. Accept my discipline as evidence of my love. I correct those I cherish. I guide those I call my own. As you walk through this day, you will encounter opportunities to seek approval. You may feel the pull to align with influential voices. You may sense the temptation to remain silent when speaking truth feels risky. Pause in those moments. Ask yourself whose judgment matters most. Invite me into your hesitation. Let my spirit strengthen your resolve. When you choose to trust my justice, you step into courage that does not depend on applause. You become anchored in a verdict that cannot be reversed. I am your righteous judge and your faithful defender. I do not overlook your obedience. I do not forget your sacrifices. I do not ignore the tears you shed when misunderstood. Place your reputation in my hands. Place your future in my hands. Place your pain in my hands. Walk uprightly and let me handle what lies beyond your control. In doing so, you will discover a peace that surpasses public opinion, a confidence that outlasts criticism, and a freedom that flows from knowing that the final word over your life belongs to me. Guarding your heart from corrupt influences begins with recognizing how subtle those influences can be. Corruption rarely announces itself boldly at first. It often whispers. It presents itself as harmless entertainment, casual conversation, minor compromise, or practical necessity. You do not wake up one morning intending to drift from me. The drift happens gradually, choice by choice, thought by thought, association by association. That is why I tell you to guard your heart, for from it flow the issues of life. Your heart is the wellspring of your desires, your motivations, your perceptions, and your decisions. When it is clear and anchored in me, your life reflects light. When it is clouded by unchecked influences, your discernment weakens and your convictions soften. I see the environments you step into daily. I see the voices you allow to shape your thinking. I see the conversations that linger in your mind long after they end. Not every influence is destructive, but not every influence is harmless. Some words plant seeds of doubt. Some relationships normalize attitudes that slowly erode your reverence for me. Some habits dull your spiritual sensitivity until what once troubled you no longer does. Guarding your heart requires intentional awareness. It means asking yourself not only whether something is permissible, but whether it is beneficial. It means discerning whether what you are absorbing strengthens your love for truth or weakens it. You live in a world saturated with messages. Through screens, through music, through social circles, through workplace culture, ideas are constantly being presented to you. Some celebrate integrity and compassion. Others glorify pride, greed, lust, deception, and self-exaltation. When these messages are repeated enough, they begin to seem normal. What was once shocking becomes common. What was once clearly wrong becomes negotiable. This normalization is one of the greatest dangers to your heart. When you stop being disturbed by what disturbs me, you are drifting. Guarding your heart means protecting your sensitivity to my spirit. When conviction rises within you, do not silence it. When something feels misaligned with my truth, do not rationalize it away. The company you keep shapes you more than you realize. You are influenced by the attitudes, values, and priorities of those closest to you. If you continually surround yourself with those who mock righteousness, you will feel pressure to soften your convictions. If you constantly listen to voices that dismiss truth, your own certainty may weaken. I do not call you to withdraw from the world in fear, but I do call you to choose your inner circle wisely. There is a difference between loving people and adopting their patterns. You can extend kindness without embracing corruption. You can be compassionate without compromising truth. Guarding your heart means maintaining boundaries that protect your spiritual health. Examine the conversations you participate in. Words carry power. When gossip becomes entertainment, when sarcasm becomes cruelty, when dishonesty becomes strategy, your heart is being shaped. Each time you join in, even silently, you reinforce those patterns within yourself. Guard your speech, and you guard your heart. Refuse to delight in tearing others down. Refuse to laugh at what dishonors me. Refuse to use deception as a tool for advantage. These refusals may seem small, but they preserve clarity within you. They keep your conscience tender and responsive. Your private habits also influence your heart profoundly. What you consume in secret, what you dwell on in imagination, what you entertain when no one else is watching, these shape your inner world. Corruption thrives in secrecy. When you justify indulgence because it is hidden, you create division within yourself. Integrity cannot flourish where duplicity is tolerated. Guarding your heart means bringing your private life into alignment with your public confession. It means inviting my presence into every room, every screen, every thought. When you remember that I am with you always, your choices shift. You begin to ask whether your actions honor me, even when no one else sees. There will be moments when resisting corrupt influence feels isolating. You may be labeled overly serious, old-fashioned, or extreme. You may feel the tension of standing apart when others blend in easily. In those moments, remember that you are not alone. I am near to those who choose holiness over convenience. I strengthen those who prioritize purity over popularity. The discomfort of standing firm is temporary, the peace of a guarded heart is lasting. When you protect your heart, you preserve your joy. You avoid the inner turmoil that comes from living divided. Guarding your heart also involves monitoring what you allow to grow within it. Bitterness, envy, resentment, and pride are internal corruptions that can flourish even without external pressure. When someone succeeds, do you rejoice or compare? When someone offends you, do you forgive or rehearse the hurt repeatedly? When you achieve something, do you give thanks or elevate yourself above others? These internal responses shape your spiritual condition. Corrupt influence is not only external, it can arise from within when unchecked emotions take root. Bring these feelings to me quickly. Confess them before they solidify. Ask me to replace them with humility, gratitude, and compassion. Be attentive to gradual desensitization. The first time you encounter certain behaviors or ideas, you may feel clear resistance. The second time, less so. Over time, repeated exposure can reduce your sensitivity. This is why deliberate reflection is necessary. Pause regularly and examine whether your standards have shifted. Compare your current convictions with the truth of my word. If you notice compromise creeping in, do not despair. Return to me. Realign your heart. I am patient in restoring those who recognize their drift and seek correction. Prayer is one of your greatest safeguards. When you begin your day in my presence, you fortify your heart before facing competing influences. When you meditate on truth, you create an internal reference point that helps you evaluate what you encounter. Without this anchor, you are more susceptible to being swayed by persuasive arguments and appealing narratives. My truth is not restrictive, it is protective. It shields you from paths that appear attractive but lead to harm. It illuminates what is truly good, even when it is not glamorous. Guarding your heart requires courage to remove what corrupts. There may be relationships you must redefine, habits you must relinquish, content you must avoid, environments you must limit. These decisions are not about legalism, they are about preservation. Just as you would protect your physical health by avoiding toxins, you protect your spiritual health by avoiding what poisons your soul. Each boundary you establish strengthens your clarity. Each temptation you resist builds resilience. Remember that I am not asking you to guard your heart alone. Invite me into the process. Ask my spirit to alert you when something threatens your peace. Pay attention to the unease that arises when you approach compromise. That unease is not condemnation, it is guidance. Do not ignore it. Respond promptly. Turn away quickly. The sooner you address potential corruption, the less power it gains. As you walk through this day, remain watchful. Not anxious, but aware. Not fearful, but discerning. Let your heart remain soft toward me and firm against what distorts truth. Choose influences that inspire faith, courage, and compassion. Surround yourself with those who encourage righteousness. Fill your mind with what strengthens integrity. In doing so, you create space for my spirit to dwell richly within you, shaping your thoughts, guiding your steps, and preserving your heart in purity before me. Living boldly in worship and thanksgiving begins with recognizing who I am in the midst of your ordinary life. Worship is not confined to a melody or a moment. It is the posture of your heart when you acknowledge my presence in all things. It is the deliberate turning of your attention toward me before you turn toward your tasks. When you rise in the morning and whisper gratitude instead of complaint, you are worshiping. When you choose trust instead of anxiety, you are worshiping. When you align your will with mine, even when it stretches you, you are worshiping. Bold worship is not loud for the sake of being heard by others. It is fearless in its devotion to me, regardless of who observes. There are times when you feel hesitant to express your faith openly. You worry about how others will perceive you. You wonder if your gratitude will seem naive, if your reverence will appear excessive, if your praise will be misunderstood. Yet I call you to live unashamed of your devotion. If you truly believe that I am your Creator, your Sustainer, your Redeemer, then let that belief shape your speech and your actions. Let gratitude rise naturally from your lips. Let reverence mark your decisions. Bold worship does not seek attention, but neither does it shrink back in embarrassment. It flows from conviction. Thanksgiving transforms the atmosphere of your heart. When you focus on what is lacking, your spirit grows heavy. When you rehearse disappointments repeatedly, your joy diminishes. But when you intentionally recount my faithfulness, your perspective shifts. Gratitude reminds you that I have carried you before and will carry you again. It anchors you in truth when circumstances fluctuate. Living boldly in thanksgiving means choosing to give thanks even before outcomes are visible. It means thanking me, not only for what you understand, but also for what you trust me to accomplish beyond your understanding. Worship also requires humility. To worship me is to acknowledge that I am greater than you. It is to recognize that your strength, your wisdom, and your opportunities are gifts rather than personal achievements alone. Pride resists worship because pride centers on self, but humility opens the door to deep gratitude. When you see your life as sustained by my grace, thanksgiving becomes natural. Every breath is a reminder of my kindness. Every provision, whether large or small, becomes evidence of my care. When you cultivate this awareness, you begin to live with a continual undercurrent of praise. Bold worship affects how you respond to adversity. When challenges arise, the world often expects complaint or despair. Yet when you choose to praise me in the midst of difficulty, you declare that circumstances do not define my goodness. You proclaim that my character remains steady even when your environment shifts. This kind of worship confuses fear. It weakens anxiety. It strengthens faith. You are not denying pain when you give thanks during trials. You are affirming that pain does not have the final word. You are affirming that I am present within it, working beyond what you can see. Thanksgiving also guards you from entitlement. When you assume that you deserve every blessing, gratitude fades. But when you recognize that each gift is an expression of mercy, your heart remains tender. You begin to notice details you once overlooked. The kindness of a friend, the beauty of creation, the strength to complete a task, the peace that settles your mind in prayer. These are not random occurrences, they are reminders of my involvement in your life. Living boldly in thanksgiving means speaking these acknowledgments aloud. It means refusing to let blessings pass unnoticed. Worship is strengthened through remembrance. Recall the seasons when I provided unexpectedly. Recall the moments when you felt surrounded by uncertainty, and I guided you step by step. Recall the times when doors closed only for better ones to open later. These memories are not meant to dwell in nostalgia. They are meant to fuel present confidence. When you remember my faithfulness, you worship with conviction. Your praise is no longer theoretical, it is rooted in experience. Bold worship also influences how you treat others. When your heart is full of gratitude, generosity flows more freely. When you recognize how much mercy you have received, you extend mercy more readily. Worship that remains confined to words without shaping character is incomplete. True thanksgiving produces transformation. It softens harshness. It tempers impatience. It replaces envy with contentment. As you cultivate praise, your interactions begin to reflect the one you worship. There will be days when gratitude feels difficult. Fatigue may weigh on you. Disappointments may accumulate. Questions may linger unanswered. In those moments, worship becomes an act of faith rather than emotion. You may not feel joyful, but you can choose to give thanks. You may not understand my timing, but you can affirm my wisdom. You may not see immediate change, but you can trust my ongoing work. This deliberate praise strengthens spiritual endurance. It trains your heart to remain anchored even when feelings fluctuate. Do not underestimate the power of spoken thanksgiving. When you verbalize gratitude, you reinforce it within yourself. Your words shape your focus. If you continually speak complaints, your mind will search for more reasons to complain. If you intentionally declare gratitude, your mind will begin to notice additional blessings. Speak life over your day. Acknowledge my guidance before challenges arise. Thank me for opportunities before you step into them. Invite my presence into your work, your conversations, your decisions. Worship also involves surrender. It is not only about celebrating what I give, it is about yielding what you hold tightly. When you place your plans before me and say, "Your will be done," you are worshiping. When you release control and trust my direction, you are worshiping. This surrender may feel vulnerable, but it leads to freedom. The more tightly you cling to your own expectations, the more anxious you become when they are threatened. But when you entrust them to me, you rest in the assurance that my purposes are wiser than your projections. Living boldly in worship means carrying awareness of my presence into every sphere of your life. Your workplace can become a place of praise when you perform your duties with integrity and gratitude. Your home can become a sanctuary when you speak kindness and patience. Your private moments can become sacred when you invite me into your thoughts. Worship is not restricted to sacred spaces, it sanctifies ordinary spaces. As you move through this day, let thanksgiving be your constant companion. When you encounter beauty, give thanks. When you overcome temptation, give thanks. When you learn from correction, give thanks. When you receive encouragement, give thanks. Let gratitude become your reflex. Let praise become your language. Let humility ground your confidence. In doing so, you reflect a heart that knows its source, trusts its sustainer, and honors its Lord in every season and circumstance.